Men take great pride in the responsibility they have over others. A man will sacrifice his own well-being to make sure other people around him that believe in him can eat and prosper. But when a man has no direction, when a man sees none of that in his future, you get a man who might do anything to achieve that or say fuck it.
Man, these fools just really don't get it, man. Like, I'm a god. You know what I'm saying? I'm a god. Well, I'm at the show. So this is your best, but you're all looking raggedy. When I start murdering, man, don't be mad at me. Brought up my fist, so you gotta be kidding. You're fighting a god and you're sending and krilling. I'm smacking you tricks and not breaking a sweat. And I gave you some chances to come and correct. And you throwing in seconds, your fight is the red. I should blow up your planet from lack of respect.
Yo! Let's get into this video! So, you guys who play White Wolf or D&D, if an attack rolls nat 20 and a dodge rolls nat 20, what does it look like? Well, now we all know. It looks exactly like this.
Take a look at what happened.
That's right. If you're a Trump guy, then your boy just got shot. 50 cents around the world are celebrating. He can now join the club. The thing is that he only got hit once, and it wasn't that bad. But where it was definitely a critical strike, or near critical. He's okay though, so if you didn't already know, you're living under some kind of ride, because I'm sure every country across the entire world is talking about this one. He's alright. He might be missing a part of his ear. I'm sure some plastic surgeon will fix that shit up. But yeah, you know, like in the anime where like a kunai or a bullet or something crazy scratches the main character's cheek or some shit, and you're like, that's not how that works. That will either hit you or it'll miss. It's not gonna just barely leave a little line in your skin. Well, apparently in real life this shit can happen. But only if you're the Antichrist. No, I'm fucking around, you know. Where am I? That is pretty peculiar hitbox, am I wrong? So, it turns out the guy who took him out was in some commercials for BlackRock. Or tried to take him out. He didn't. I want to be clear. If you're a Trump guy, your boy's still fine. But the kid who tried to do it, or the young man who tried to do it, young guy, more fitting for who this person is as I'll go on further. The young guy who tried to do it was in a Black commercial, and if you don't know, I believe that was the same BlackRock that's on Wall Street. And I guess they were putting money into schools or something like that, and they wanted to make a commercial, and they did it in his school, and he's a top performer as far as grades and whatnot goes. So yeah, he was in the class where they shot it. The staged class, obviously, right? So we don't know everything about this guy who tried to take the former prez out, but we do know that he was a registered Republican apparently, but gave money to Democrat Party. $15, whatever the fuck that means, right? And somewhere along the line, he decided that he was gonna go basically 1 for 1, right? Now, it'll come out, as we already know, that he got picked on a lot in school and shit, right? This video isn't about Trump, okay? What it's about is the kind of people who do fucking crazy shit. Now, I'm not gonna say trying to take out a president is crazy, because I'm just gonna say it's not. Right? All throughout history, trying to eliminate leaders has been a thing, because leaders are the ones who shape the world and change the landscape. And when people don't like the way something's being changed, if they think, and they're oftentimes wrong, that getting rid of one person will change that, there will be someone out of the millions or billions of people who will try to do that. I would say, mathematically speaking, this is on par for anything else. As anything else, I should say. But there's a certain type of person who generally will do this kind of thing in this day and age. See, back in the day, because I was thinking, this kind of behavior isn't the kind of behavior of a real G. And then I immediately corrected myself. Because a real G, like your man's here, God Connecticut, your gods, I should say, would be capable of something like that, right? Going after a world leader for some particular reason, if they're nefarious or something like that. Blah, 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 blah. Especially in olden days. But lately, generally, and almost by generally, I mean 100%ly speaking, the only people who are trying to shoot at politicians or shooting mass crowds or mass groups are people who are unhinged. Let's just be real. And again, it's not something that a real G couldn't do or wouldn't do, but it is something that a real G hasn't done, well, this century. And there's a very good reason for that. And let me explain. See, certain behaviors are synonymous with real G's. The real reason why school shootings aren't done by real G's is because, let me ask you, when's the last time you seen some mass shooter shoot up a place with quote unquote innocent people, as innocent as you dumb fucks get at least, when they have 2 or 3 hot 8s or 9s waiting for them at home? Beautiful, hot girls. Oh, what? You're too far down there below me. Say it again. Never, yeah, you're correct. Audience member at 9004, you're correct. Never. There has never been any kind of public attack where waiting at home for the man was this hot 8 or 9 chick. Just fucking big titties, firm ass, flat ass. Just damn. Holy shit, she's hot. Making his life amazing. Because if that's what waiting at home for, you're too happy with life. You're too looking forward to the next day. That's your piece of booty? That's what you're tapping? You're not giving that up for any president, dude. I'm just being honest. Men who do these things aren't happy men. We are in the most unhappy time of Western society since recorded history. And remind you, motherfuckers used to write on stone. Think about it. You motherfuckers sitting at home right now haven't been this unhappy since a dude came up with a sharp stone to carve into another stone. Think about it. You chicks too. Voting didn't work out so great, did it? Where am I going with this? Well, I think you already know if you follow the channel. Men and women are in their most unhappy state, their most prosperous state, and the least reasonable living conditions since last 200 or 300 years. And the reason it's unreasonable isn't because medicine has gotten better. Oh yeah, okay, thank you. Electricity has gotten more widespread. Okay, also thank you. Food is plentiful. Thank you. That's great. But the reason everyone's at their least happiness is because the world doesn't create a happy environment. Sense of purpose is removed. Sense of purpose is removed from this young fella's life so much that he could see his only future being going 1 for 1 with removing what he thought was probably the greatest threat or disliked person in his mind in North America. He was like, if I can go 1 for 1, I trade my worthless life in to get rid of this other person who I think is a really horrible person, then I've done great. That was his rationality, right? If he had a hot chick making him fucking hot pot, because you bitches can't cook these days. I'm not expecting too much, right? If you're hot, like fucking, we'll cut losses there. So if he had some hot chick making goddamn hot pockets for him every day, he would have never done this. But the dating market is screwed. Females are screwed, not having kids and not going to be able to have kids because they're going to wait too long to have kids, when they're going to wait too long to get the mindset that will allow them to have kids. And men are fighting in a system that is rapidly racing to replace them with fucking robots. Say that out loud because it's true. You are living in the dystopian. The dystopian isn't coming. It's already here, you fucks. There's going to be more of this. And it's only going to get worse before it gets better. You know, in North America, school shootings are about as common as, well, shit, I was going to say firecrackers on the 4th of July, but school shootings don't just happen in one season or 1 month. It's really year round. This guy did this shit when school season was out. If school season was in, I don't know what to tell you. Granted, he had already graduated, I believe, so I guess schools were going to be safe from him regardless. But yeah, it comes out that he got bullied a lot and that he was a bit of a loner in school, which is not uncommon. But the reason this kid went 1 for 1 isn't because he's dumb. It's because of his parents. You have to put blame where blame is, right? Let's be real, motherfuckers. Look at the G over here, Guy, Connecticut. Do you think I would have a little one, boy or girl, right? Them going to school, getting bullied, and then picking up a gun and shooting their classmates? You think that would happen? Do you think I'd have a boy or a girl going to school, bullying other kids? Do you think that would happen? See, I like bullying. I encourage, on the low key, very low key, bullying. Bullying is one of the greatest things that as a young adult or child you can possibly go through. The reason bullying is so goddamn important is because without bullying, you will get absolutely murdered by the world. You'll be on Twitter like these blue-haired fucks complaining about everything. You'll need to speak to someone's manager about everything. Someone hurts your feelings, you'll be trying to call 911 for everything. You'll be a nothing, a no one, a nobody, you know? And the reason that will be is because no one fucking bullied you and you overcame it. When someone pushes and you push back, BAM! You instantly develop character. I can still remember the moment I punched this kid in the stomach. Way taller dude than me, right? I punched him in the stomach and I could hear the breath leave his body. He collapsed like a ton of rocks to the ground. And I realized, goddamn, I'm a powerful motherfucker. I can fell a man a touch. And I realized my power. I'll tell you some stories about me another time. But the point is that bullying is very good. And when it happens to your child, it is your duty as the mediocre parent you probably are to prepare your kid to face the bully the next day. Not go through it for 4 fucking years, you goddamn morons. Your kid isn't supposed to get bullied from freshman to graduation. They're supposed to get bullied as a freshman and then become a fucking G and get some respect in the community. That's why you as a parent, as a fat ass, don't have any respect. Now, I haven't seen his parents, but I guarantee that they're fat. I heard that they're behavioral specialists. Motherfucker. Look, I'm a behavioral specialist. Like actually. They're a licensed behavioral specialist. That means they're pussies. That means they're like, oh yeah, you know, bullies are just deranged people who, yeah, they'll pick on you, ignore them, they'll go away. No. I tell you what a bully is. A bully isn't a deranged person, right? A bully is someone who's learned that power gets them what they want, and they haven't been taught to check that power. That's it. If you told me tomorrow that I could be 1000% invincible and I could just order people to do what I want and they would do it, I would have all the countries. And people will call me a bully. When you check your power and you control your power and you realize that there's consequences for your power, such as, well, I can bully people, but eventually I'm going to have to go to war over this because someone's going to challenge me and that's going to threaten the empire, then you start to behave differently. Rome didn't try to take over everyone, despite what you might have think from the books, to take over everyone. Even that guy knew that there were some goddamn limits. Bullies don't understand that there are limits. You know, they don't understand here and there who they can get away with and not get away with. So they understand some limits, you know, to be clear. But for their all-encompassing limited knowledge, they know that this weak person, if you push them or get close to them or call them some names and look down on them, they will give you the thing that you asked for. They have unchecked power and unrealized potential. That's what a bully is. Now that we've made that clear, if your kid's getting bullied, you need to have your kid G up. You don't let your kid get bounced around for 4 fucking years. That says a lot about you as a parent. Out seeing his parents, I can tell you this. They're fat and they're lame and they're weak. So what happens when you get a weak child with weak parents? What you get no holds barred. That kind of person isn't the kind of kid who's gonna punch your kid in the face, but that is the kind of kid who will bring a high-powered weapon to school one day and murder your kid in the playground, along with other kids that may or may not have laughed at him. Collateral damage, right? So, how do you prevent that from happening? Well, strong parents do a lot in bringing about strong children. If your children are weak, it's because you are weak. Is what it is. You don't like it? Fucking stop being a little bitch on the internet. Get off of Twitter with your little fucking Twitter fingers, you weak motherfuckers. Women too. If you're a single mom, sucks for you. You fucked up. Obviously, you didn't know how to cook well enough to keep a man. Sucks for you. Stop being a fat ass. But now that you're a single mom, you're going to have to G up a little bit, which is going to make it harder for you to find a man because we don't like masculine women. But this is the situation you found yourself in now, bitch. And then for men, if you have kids, whether you're with the mom or not, you can still be a masculine figure in that kid's life. If you're going to be involved at all, then you need to make sure that your boys turn out to be strong boys and your girls turn out to be feminine women, feminine girls, okay? It's real fucking simple. Boys wear pants, girls wear skirts. Now, that we have that out of the way, what happened with this, and I'll be completely transparent, I don't know the details of his upbringing. He was probably raised okay and non-abusive, given that his parents were behavioral specialists or some shit. But to even want to go into the field of a behavioral specialization means that you're a bit of a nerd. So it's a family full of nerds. And no one had a spinal cord. I didn't say a spine like me. And these motherfuckers didn't have the fucking cord at all. Like, you ever like buy like a piece together model where you have to put the pieces together, and like you put the pieces together and you end up with at least a frame, like at least a shell? These motherfuckers didn't have that. I'm a complete built individual. These motherfuckers didn't even have the frame. They didn't have the spinal cord, let alone a fucking spine. And like I said, I haven't seen his parents, haven't talked to his parents, and I haven't seen them talk. But I guarantee you, they're fat, out of shape, weak fucks. But I'm sure it will. The number one thing that North America has to work on, and if this video gets banned on TikTok, that's why. TikTok doesn't particularly like talks of strength in men. For a good reason, and I don't blame them if I was Chinese. So, whether America gets better or not, I really don't give a fuck. This isn't my country. This is your country. But as men, I do care about the scope of men and how men are doing in general. And you motherfuckers are struggling. This kid, young adult, quote unquote, struggled until he figured he'd go 1-for-1 with the president. Which, to be fair, is a goddamn good trade. If any worthless person can go 1-for-1 with the president, that was more than worth its value in several times their weight in gold. Let's be honest. So the premise is sound. It's a very well thought out trade. But if we make the individual life of each man that much more valuable to himself, the likelihood of him wanting to go 1-for-1 and a 1-for-several at a school or 1-for-1 with a politician instantly reduces. Think about this. Why is it you never? Do you know how rarely I tell you motherfuckers to use the word never? I tell you basically never to use the word never. So that word is only reserved for my usage. But how rare is it? How never is it that you've heard of a multi-millionaire trying to go 1-for-several in some crowded space or some mall? 1-for-several at a school, or 1-for-1 with a politician. Why is that? Because their happiness level is up here. If your happiness level is fucking off the charts, you don't give a fuck how dumb somebody else is. You have 7 girlfriends and working on maybe getting your next yacht, or your first yacht this year, and your 3rd supercar, and your 2nd mansion, and your 5th house, or whatever you like or into. There's no way anyone, for any amount of money, or for any politic, could convince you to go 1-for-1 with some dumbass politician that you don't like. Just not gonna happen. That only happens when someone perceives themselves as disposable for a cause. No rich, wealthy, or influential person would ever do that. Not everyone can be influential. Not everyone can be rich. But I think with the right effort and right kind of placement, most people can be well-to-do. And a lot of people can be wealthy. But when most of your population is hurting, in fact, far from well-to-do, and most of your population doesn't have money for an emergency in their bank account, and the government fucks up in getting them emergency money and things like that, then it's easy to want to just wake up one day and go 1-for-1 with someone you don't like. Or go 1-for-many in a group of people that you feel spat on you your entire life. You can wake up with those thoughts and follow through on them if you see no other way. The key to stopping those types of incidences where worthless people shoot up more worthless people is by making sure that you live in a transparent society that has rules. Rules are important, motherfuckers. That has an excellent dating market and has good looking people, men and women. And I'm gonna jump in this for like 1 minute maybe. When dating sucks, men will do desperate things. If a man has no good bitches, he is, as they say, liable to do anything. It's only when a man has a stable of bitches, or at least one good one, that you can trust him to make pretty rational decisions for himself and for those around him. Because men value their own leadership and take great pride in the responsibility over others. Let me say that one more time for you fucks not listening. Men take great pride in the responsibility they have over others. A man will sacrifice his own well-being to make sure other people around him that believe in him can eat and prosper. But when a man has no direction, when a man sees none of that in his future, you get a man who might do anything to achieve that or say fuck it. You mathematically as a man cannot find a good woman. I'll explain that in 2 seconds real quick for you. Because you motherfuckers have never thought about it. You just wander around knowing that the dating market sucks, that good women are hard to find or non-existent. That you don't know why. Okay, I'm going to break it down for you. As a man, you should never date anything below a 7. Okay, a 6 is a reasonably looking chick. 5 is a slightly below average looking chick. And then a 4, you're starting to get into Down syndrome situations, okay? She's overweight. Yeah, it's not getting good past 4. It's not getting good past 5, right? So 7, 8, 9, and the elusive legendary 10. So we cut our losses 7, 8, 9, right? 10s almost don't exist. Don't hold your breath for a 10. But 7, 8, 9, right? Well, 7, 8, and 9s are actually plentiful and abundant. If you go to other countries like Thailand, if you go to any Asian countries, you can get a 7 pretty easily, right? 7 just means you're slim with decent proportions. You know? You're a bit more than fuckable. You're nice, easy on the eyes. You're a 7. 8, maybe you're in shape. You know, you got some boobies, things like that. 9, you are in shape. Everything on you is fucking firm. Everything, right? You got the boobies too. The ass is firm. Yeah. And 9, 10, that kind of thing, you know, it only gets better, right? So, what does that mean? If you live in North America, less than 1% of females are fucking 7s. Let that set in. Over 50 to 60% of motherfuckers are like obese and overweight. So that leaves only like 30 or 40% of people who can even be in theory fuckable. So once you get from obese, then you have chubby. So you gotta rule chubby out. Let's say that's another, if obese took up 50%, then chubby has to take up 20%. Like, let's be honest, right? So now you're at 70%. That leaves only 30% of chicks that you could even think about, right? So you got slightly overweight. Let's say slightly overweight takes up another 10%. So now you have 20% of females. So now you have 7s. I can already tell you that that's not. You know what? I'm going to scratch that number because it's not 20%. It's more like 10%. So 1 in 10 could be dateable for most self-respecting men, right? So 1 in 10 chicks is at least a 7. Let's go with that, right? So, if you want an 8, then you're talking about 1% of chicks, and anything better is like fractions of that 1%. But let's just say 10%, right? 10% of chicks are 7s. So, you got 10% of chicks that are 7s. But which of those 7s are below 30? Because right now, remember, if people live to about 80 or 90, 1, 2, 3 is a very small part of their life, right? So if you're getting a chick under 30, now you take that 10% and you can automatically cut that in a third, right? So you're down to 3%, like just like that. Because a chick can be like 35, even 40, and still have a pretty decent body if she's on her game, right? But let's be honest, the older they get, the less percentage of that exists, right? So let's just say 3% of girls are actually dateable just from the age alone, right? Because you want, 27, 24, younger than that, whatever, right? So if you're entering the dating market as a well-to-do man, a good-looking gentleman, 3%, if you're willing to scrape the bottom of the barrel of what's reasonably acceptable, that will get you a 7. We're not going to even go above that, right? Now, you got to deal with chicks who don't know how to cook, don't know how to talk, think that they're the shit, have bad attitudes, don't know manners, have no wifey skills. By the time you get done with like the 3% that you started out with and start looking at what's actually there for long-term keeping in your life, or forbid introducing to your social circle, you're down to 0.% of a fraction. And we're not even talking about 8s and 9s. We're talking about still 7s. If you're talking about 8s and 9s that are good wifey material or that aren't on OnlyFans, well, that would automatically disqualify you from being good wifey material. You're looking at almost none. Literally almost none. Especially in North America. Now, if you go somewhere else, sure, you might be able to have a little better percentage. A reasonably better percentage, let me just be honest, right? But if you're in North America and you want a 7 or better, the math is against you. You're looking at less than 1% odds. And not only, hold on, let me make clear, you still have to meet her. She still has to be in a receptive mood when you run into her. And you have to speak to her at that time. You could walk right past the 1% right now. She's going up the escalator, you're going down, and vice versa, right? You'll never know. The conditions have to be met. So not only are you working with a 1% odd of finding the girl that if you spoke to her would work out long term. But now you're dealing with a less than 1% conditions to find her. Your odds of finding a good long-term female in North America are less than 0.5%. You heard it here first. And that's because of the way the government, the climate, and the social stew has been boiled up. With feminism, with voting for everyone, with the social justice that they pushed a few years back and continue to try to push through society to some degree even now, you end up with less than 0.0005% chance of running into a girl that would be good for long-term dating. Now, when you do run into her, not only do the conditions have to be met and she has to be that kind of girl, but she also has to be single. Like somebody else, not necessarily even better than you. Somebody else just would have had to not come along and got her before you. Is this to say that dating is hopeless? I was going to say not really. But the fact is, fucking kinda. If you want to date well, you do need to go to a different country. A country that has tradition, because America definitely has none. A country that acknowledges and pushes two genders, because America is being very wishy-washy in that subject. A country that has hard edges and hard lines in how society should be, whether or not you agree with it. Because when you have that, and you hop into that society and conform to that society, then you end up in a society where rules exist and you can play with inside the rules. If I invited you to play basketball or soccer with me this weekend, and then you showed up in your little jersey, showed up in your little shoes, you showed up fucking ready to go, and I pulled out a football, you wouldn't know what to do. I pull out a fucking a baseball, you're fucking bewildered. And you say, hey, why do you have a baseball? I thought we were playing soccer. And I say, we are playing soccer. You can play soccer with anything. Welcome to North America. How are you supposed to navigate, exist, and thrive in a place that doesn't have any rules? Think of your favorite fucking video game. The reason you like that video game is because of the hard rules. Even if it's a difficult game, you say to yourself, oh, I understand that. And then you can go about working with those limitations and even make those limitations into a strength that makes you on the top of the boards. But when there's no rules, well, you could step on something that seems solid and then just slip right the fuck through. You clipped off the edge of the map. You just fucking respawn for no fucking reason. How can you beat the game if it doesn't have rules? Welcome to North America. So my advice for all of you is find a country that has rules, hard rules, even if you don't agree with all the rules, because at least you understand them and you can survive and thrive in a place that has some kind of structure. Remind you, the very word structure means rules. And that's what you need, because most people honestly can't function without them. Let's be honest. Look at America. Look at the fucking gay parades and shit like that. That's a whole parade of people who can't function in society. True. And when you end up with those types of societies, think about why North America has more mass shootings than any place in the planet. Isn't it the freest? I mean, maybe. But if that's the price, is it worth it? Dictatorships work. And I'm going to actually end the video on that. I don't believe in democracy. I just fucking don't. I should be dictator. And if another country has a dictator who's doing a good job, then that's some shit I support. Fuck voting. Fuck you low IQ motherfuckers trying to understand shit you don't spend time learning. Oh, I'm going to vote for this guy because I like his haircut. Oh, I like the way this guy speaks. You vote on the most trivial shit and not voting for the things that actually change the world. And you get some motherfucker in that you thought was cool and he fucks shit up. The fact is, most of you are just too goddamn retarded to make your own decisions. Dictatorship works. Religion works. You guys need to be told what to do. And that is the hard facts. And your children need that even more than you do. Because when they don't get that, they do shit like that young gentleman. I'll give him the respect of being called a gentleman. He was, by all intents and purposes, a gentleman. A nice guy. A smart guy who went through school and did things the right way. But you know what? He wasn't. He wasn't a strong man. No one can argue that. And if you have strength, then you don't have these problems. If you have smarts, or if you have dorkiness, or if you have lameness, if you have a bad attitude, or if you have a good attitude, if you have any of that, but you don't have strength in that person, you can end up with someone who will do some things that you would never dream of your child doing. And that's the bottom line. So let me end this video by saying this. North America's due. It will 1000% lose to China. In fact, America has already lost to China. It will continue to lose to Asian society and other more what you as an American might consider rigid societies. It is unredeemable, irreversible, and unescapable. What you can do as someone who exists in America or outside of it is to make yourself into someone who is immovable. And you do that by making sure that you have enough money to protect those around you, friends, colleagues, employees, whatever, so that you have the money to make the decision and stand your ground. Because when broke people get pressed, they cave, because what else can they do? Money is happiness, and if anybody has ever told you otherwise, they didn't have it. And that's just the hard truth. And it's been that way since the beginning of time. When money was goats, if I had 1,000 goats and you had 2, and I told somebody I would give them 50 goats to take your property, they would come take your property and you would have nothing. Money from the beginning of time, no matter what that currency was, has always been power and always been happiness. If I have 1,000 goats and you have 2, your wife will always look at you with disgust when you are in the same room with me. She will wonder, why am I with this guy who has 2 goddamn goats and no plan to get more, when that man over there has 1,000 goats and gives them out to people for fun? Don't give in to the psyop. Arm yourself with money and then the bullet, but money first. Because you can be away from the bullets and away from the danger and in any place in the world that you want if you have enough money. Save yourself, your friends, and your family by making sure you have the power of your time, which is money in this time and not goats, to stand your ground, do where you want and do what you want. Both, in fact. I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Remember, strong men create soft times and soft men create hard times. Soft guys, not real men, right? That's not true for every society, because dictatorships, even in soft times, have a strong man, which keeps their population rigid enough. But when you have a democracy and all of your people are mostly soft, your very foundation will begin to crumble. The only thing crumbly that's good is a pie crust, not the foundation that you build your life on. God Connecticut out. And remember the lesson of this video. Be strong, keep your family strong, and teach those around you, including your friends, to be strong, so that you aren't swayed by the tides of bullshit that come your way, or that are on social media, or influenced by the tidal waves of bad information, which oftentimes are also on social media. There's only 2 genders. You right now watching are indeed one of those. I'm going to see you in the next video. God Connecticut out. Stay strong.
Wait. About what?
You're serious? You don't know? Everybody knows you never go full retard.